Hi everybody, welcome in. We're going to talk today about how to get a business loan up to 2 million, SBA EIDL loan increases, those alternatives, the PPP loan, employee retention credit, grants, and so much more, including how a picture like this has possessed me in my spirituality. And the few other things you may have not known about me, I'll be revealing in this video. I'll try to keep it short and concise. I know some people are about to join as I'm doing this live. If you're here, please give me a hashtag live or a hashtag replay, whatever time interval. Perhaps you're watching this later on if it's uploaded on the YouTube channel. I do respect your guys' time and energy like always. And if this is the first time you're watching, I am a business loan broker / agent. I'm an expert at what I do. I've helped out a lot of businesses of all backgrounds, of all industries, of all types, all nature, understand in an educational way, as well as edutainment, a little bit of entertainment every now and then with my dry sense of humor at times. But what ultimately you'll get out of this is you're going to be getting the best funding option and options outside of going through a traditional bank if you've been declined there, or you can't turn to your savings anymore, a 401k, friends and family. I have your back 110%. And I'm going to show you how all of this works with all the different lenders, the underwriters, these providers, and more importantly, the services to go for, understanding how much you can get approved for and all else. So before I get started into any of that, I do want to open up this segment if you're curious to know about what this picture has to do. And you're probably wondering, is that you? Do you have a younger brother, or who is that? Yes, that is me in the picture. And that is my dog brother who recently passed this year in February. And about February 28th, that was one of the hardest days of my life. I don't think a lot comes close to it, because I know when you're close to an animal, it doesn't have to be a dog. In this circumstance, my dog brother, and I have a younger brother, we're about 6 years apart. I'm 29, he's about 24. Well, 5 or 6, give or take. And so having looked after him so long, him finally passing, being there every single time for him, about every single day, seeing him when he was at his best and then when he was at his worst. What this did is I realized the transitioning between those phases, and unfortunately of his passing. But there's a time that comes and a lot of grieving and having to cope with it. But what it did to me when I think about him every day is it's brought another animal in terms of spirituality out of me. And when people ask, are you religious? I go, I'm Catholic. I'm not as religious. I'm more spiritual. I think about spirituality more in terms of how can I grow my faith. And at the same time, you can speak a little bit of religion in that. But when people ask me, yeah, I'm more spiritual. I'm working on my spirituality. And a big reason for the upbringing or the push is because of the loss of my dog and the appreciation that he brought myself and everyone in our family. The unconditional love, the honesty, the trust. He didn't care if you were at your best always. He wanted to see you when you were at your worst. And so I'm not bringing this up for, hey, you should like me better or anything like that. I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about where this side to me comes from and what fuels it in my life. And I may, get up in a little bit and probably walk around. I'll try to do this because it is a nice, hot, sunny day here in Vancouver, Washington. That's where I'm at right now. Currently, I'm in this makeshift room where we put a bed. There used to not be one there. If you've seen my videos, it's been there for some time. But we have guests over, and I want to make sure they're comfortable. And so I had to move things around. But I have this photo here when I was younger. I think that was 2 years or 3 after I had him, I believe. And I was still playing soccer at the time. That obviously was one of my biggest things, is playing the sport of soccer. Played Division I soccer and played into like the professional levels. And so having my dog by my side, Gizmo's his name, for 15 long years, and he had kidney disease. He was in the later stages at that point. It just seen him in a point where he couldn't even drink water or eat food, and I had to give him food every single day. It was very, very difficult, but it was also like a force that then said, hey, it's time to push. It's time to go. It's time to do more than what you've already done. Don't stay comfortable. What's working now may not work again. Or keep iterating. Keep becoming a better person overall. And that's ultimately what I've learned from this. It isn't so much about the business. Yes, I've learned quite a bit, but it's more about how he's been able to bring that out of me. So I also made a video not too long ago, and I'll get back onto the subject, guys. But something that I made not too long ago was, what are like my 5 essentials? So I'll kind of share a little bit about that, and then I'll get back on the topic of SBA loans and so forth. But one thing I really can't go without, I'm not sure if you've seen me wear this, perhaps when I'm out walking, or I'm wearing my other ones, I'm not wearing these, but my Apple Airpods, very essential. Anywhere I go, I had them on earlier as I was listening to a few YouTube podcasts. I was listening to a little bit of Ed Milet. I don't know if you guys follow him, but I think he's amazing, the content he brings out and what he's able to share. So I'm always with these headphones. They're always everywhere I go. You can obviously tell my glasses are as well when I'm working, when I'm not. Usually they're off, or when I'm not reading. Another big thing that I've enjoyed, is taking this backpack. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I enjoy having this backpack with me whenever I get out and I travel, or I'm going to go take care of somebody's house, like my younger brother, when I have to look over his dog. And it's such a convenience to have a backpack that has so many places for you to put your laptop or to put any other kind of device. You have pencils, you can put calculators, anything you wish, really. You could put some clothes in there if you wanted to, but it's very awesome to have. Something else that I very much value, you guys might have a laugh at this, it is the Nike running shoes that I have for about going on, I think, 4+ years now. And you can tell by the back of this, see how I put a little makeshift piece of tape? And you're probably wondering why that is. So recently they ripped on the back. And I know I'm going to buy a new pair. I just haven't really gone around to it. I'm not cheap about it. It's just, I just haven't had the time to do it. So I've had to put some tape back there, a little bit of cushioning, because there is a little metal part right there that cuts through, and it's happened before when I didn't put this right. But I always value going out on a walk, going out on a jog, getting some exercise in, getting some fresh air, and making sure, you keep your oxygen levels where they need to be and breathing in that fresh air ultimately. So that's just a little bit. I may share a little bit as I go on, but that's where I'm going to keep it at. So let's see. Let me turn over here to the comments. Hi, Elaine. How are you doing? I emailed you and you never answered. How long ago? I need your help. I need financing for my project. I mean, I'll say this much. I have a lot of people who come to me, and I'm very respectful of that, and I'm very grateful of it, and I will help you ultimately. But everybody wants give me an immediate answer. You didn't answer me within a day, within 2 days. Like, I'll answer you as fast as possible, usually within a day or two. But sometimes it goes out a little bit because another priority takes a hold. So it isn't like I'm ignoring you. It's more about, hey, I need to take some time to do this. I needed to take some time to do that. If it's something that is so pushed out that it's like, this is such an obvious thing, or I've already explained this over and over to that individual, then that's where it becomes more of an outlier and more of a problem. And I'm not going to be upset with you. It's just, this is how it is. And it can be a bit difficult sometimes to get a hold of me. That's why I recommend, there's a questionnaire form that I'll link to you guys in the bio, and it'll also be in the description if you're watching this later, perhaps on YouTube. But you can fill out this questionnaire in less than 30 seconds, literally. and I will be able to evaluate and give you a proper response back on your best funding option and options. So it's not like one person has emailed me. So I have people right now who are kind of like heckling, and they're thinking they're getting my attention by just starting applications and not doing anything, and it's just absurd. I caught somebody doing that not too long ago. Attack the behavior, not the actual human being, but the behavior of doing that isn't going to do anything. And I've noticed all this. I'm a very observant person. So I will get back to you guys. I'm not ignoring anybody here, honestly. I'm not just saying that. And you do have my best interest at heart. All right. Or in the other sense, I do have your best interest at heart. I'm not just saying that. So a few things on business funding. Nothing really moving with the SBA EIDL loans and their increases. Same thing I've said just the past couple of days, that it stayed stagnant. Everybody's been still in the queue. A lot of people have still been wondering when those funds were coming. Can I just start a new application? That's all been closed down. But I will always keep you up to date, so it's important that you're following. And if you're getting value out of this content, I would greatly appreciate you if you shared it with others. It can be a complete stranger, a friend, or a family member, but at the end of the day, you were able to just spread the word and know that they were able to get an education, not just the funding, but the education on what it takes. And they have to understand that this does not work like a 30-year home mortgage or a 30-year SBA EIDL loan. Not all the time. There are different options available. You just have to be more strategic, and I'll get into that in a moment. So nothing really happening there. The Ppp Forgiveness, that's what you want to focus on. A lot of people being caught for fraudulent activity, not using their funds appropriately, wanting to ask for forgiveness for their complete use, 100% of it, when in fact they can't even get 50% of it because they used it for the wrong purposes. Then you have the Employee Retention Credit Program, where we can get up to $26,000 per employee. I'm working with a lot of people on that equation. Grants. And few more grants have been opening up in a few states with the State Small Business Credit Initiative Program, one of those being Maryland. There are a little bit more of them. I may take some time to make a video on this, on how to find it, but I already have. So if you guys want to learn more about those grant opportunities, go to the bio. There should be a document down there you guys can pick up for free. And just a bit more on how to get business funding up to $2 million incredibly fast. There are among a lot of ways to get the funding. There's not one way or another. However, what it'll limit you is your actual funding details. And what I mean by that is, how does your time in business look? What is your FICO? And if we need to look deeper, how do those Consumer Credit Bureau reports look? Consumer credit reports. And then your revenue, obviously, if we're looking at it from cash flow based, and we can look at things like your industry, and we can dig deeper into all of these, into different subsets that I won't speak too much about in this video. But we have to approach this from, okay, what are my fundability details, which I just talked about right there, time in business, FICO, revenue, etc. Now, how much funding will I need is a question. But before that, you have to ask, what will I be using these funds for? And be specific. Don't just say I'm using these funds for payroll. I'm just using these funds for inventory. I'm sure you have a better idea of what this would be applied to and how much more specific. What your return on your investment will be from doing that is ultimately what you have to ask yourself. What will be my short-term and even my long-term return on my investment on this? Short and or. And so figure those few things out before you go and apply for funding. I caught a lady the other day. I made her well aware. She told me, hey, I'm just seeing my options. I'm applying to places and getting offers and see the best thing I can get. You shouldn't do that. And the reason people get into that black hole, or they dig themselves into that, and why it's bad, is they're looking for the lowest price. They're unsure about this company and these lenders, or this one specific lender. Oh, okay, well, let me see what I can get over here. Oh, is it going to be any better? Usually it isn't, if you're working with the best lenders. Now, if you're working with somebody who's a bit faulty, somebody who's just doing it so they can make money for their own company, their own brokerage, etc., then that's where you have to be very careful, and you can get a wrong cut of all that. It can be very bad, and you can end up getting overcharged for things and your rates, etc. So instead of applying for 100 different places, look for that one specific individual, quote unquote, myself, and I say that to be very humble and respectful, is that you should understand that you need to speak with an expert. That's the bottom line. A lot of people will not go through that step and they'll go and apply. They found some ad online, or they said, hey, oh, I heard this from a friend of mine. They told me that I can do that. No. Did they ever get the loan? No, they didn't. But no. But I heard it from a guy named Jeremy, who then heard it from a girl named Sally. Sally heard it from Rebecca. And then, what are you doing? You have to be very careful. You may not be working with the best lenders and the best team of underwriters, which I work with the best out there. You probably heard of those companies. I'm not going to start getting into any names, but I work in it diligently every single day, and I see it. So I told the specific individual, don't go and apply for various places, especially if you have an offer, because the lenders can see that. They'll communicate with you, even if you haven't dealt with this other one. You may have gone a B or an A or a C plus tier lender, and now they won't want to work with you. So, hey, you just lost your A tier lender. You can only get B to C now. Not even D or E will take another look at it. And so you're doing yourself such a huge disservice by applying and applying and applying, but you're not fixing the actual cause of all of this, which is your misunderstanding, your misconception of how getting business funding actually works. And so a lot of people, when they want to get 2 million, when they hear that, like I have individuals right now, I'm going to go look through one of them that's sitting in my actual email inbox as we speak, and they're looking for funding up to $1 million, and there are another few too. It's a little bit different in their situation, but they keep trying to ask me, hey, how am I supposed to get, can I get close to at least 150,000 when I'm only doing this amount in revenue? Well, if I wanted 2 million and I'm only doing 10,000 per month, that's a minimum to get to a category. Yeah, we can accept 5,000, but 10,000 is a minimum. 120,000 in annual revenue. Yeah, bad credit is acceptable, but guess what? How much do they approve you for? Usually it's 10 to 15% of your annual gross sales. Your annual revenue is what you can get approved for. In some cases, up to 20%, but more in the 10 to 15, on average 10 to 12%. So if you're looking for 100,000, you better be doing close enough to about $1 million per year. That's just how the law of this works. And a lot of business owners, they go, well, I needed 200,000 all at once. Oh no, you could have taken it time per time. You didn't have to get it all at once. So come back and get more, and I can help you with that. But we're so obtrusive and we're so blinded that we continue to just go out there and look, or ask the same question in a different way. That's not a way to iterate. It's not a way to build and grow and listen, most of all. So when you get approved, usually between 10 to 15% of your annual gross sales, your annual gross revenue, what could that mean? So when we break it down to a monthly revenue, if you're doing 10,000 plus per month, on your lowest month you're doing 10,000. Or let's say you're doing 20,000. And then you're averaging about 40,000. So with 20,000 and 40,000, we're usually taking the lowest at 20,000 and saying we can get you between 75% of that up to about 200% or 150% of that. And we'll look at your average monthly revenue too. Usually it's assessed on that. But if you have a way lower month than what your average is stating, there's a reason why you're getting what you're getting. So you may be getting between 15,000 or so up to 40,000. But I'm doing 300,000. Yeah, but what's 10% or 10 to 15% of that 300,000, or however much it is you're doing annually, and then we calculate that. But I needed $1 million. Do you have collateral that's equivalent to that? But I don't have real estate. I don't have accounts receivable financing. I don't have equipment, inventory, none of this, etc. Well, then we can't get you the 1 million that you're looking for. Simple as that. So there is a little bit of entitlement that comes with this. And a lot of us think, you're no different than myself. I've been there. I know how it feels when you're looking for funding and you think you deserve this. We're not always right about what we deserve. Our funding details, our financial structure of our business tells us what we're deserving of. But I've worked so hard. I'm doing this for 22 years, 30 years. People come to me every day. I have 30 years in my business, and then I was doing 30,000, I was doing 50,000 consistently, and then I just had a low month of 15,000. But how can I get the million if I have 30 years in business? No, it doesn't work like that. If we solely worked off of your time in business, that is foolish. But you have 33 years in the business, you get what you're doing, I understand that. But your revenue, your flip-flopping, your financials, average daily bank balances are negative or just above surface, where it doesn't give us enough room to give you enough of a repayment that you deserve. So let me go to the comments now. Appreciate you, Elaine. Thank you. And I'll do my best. If you can, please send me another. You can even forward me the email you have. That would be helpful. Or just send me in a new one. You don't have to restate what you said. You can just have me refer to it so I can see your email and then search it up. Hi, Zahi. How are you doing? What would you like specifically help with? Appreciate you for the follow. Thank you, Miss Melaine? Hopefully I'm saying that right. No on the idle. That's all I'll say. I said a little bit about it earlier. Hi, Jivar. How are you doing? LegalZoom's a good way to go. I'll just say that much. It's a good place for just getting started. There are a few other recommendations, but that's what I would do to get started. Not a bad route. So yeah, going back to some of the few things that I'm very grateful to have, aside from what you guys saw earlier, which is my Airpods, my appreciation, where my spirituality, a lot of it comes from, and I credit that to this guy right here, my younger brother, my dog brother, who passed away. And so I was already on that road. It was just something that pushed it even more out there, and it made me much stronger in my faith and so forth. You had a chance to see the extraordinary backpack. I'm in love with this thing. It's a Swiss backpack, if I didn't say that in the beginning. But so many pockets. Boom, easy to carry for me. I can just carry it like this, or just put it on my back and get going. But yeah, just hanging out here. As you can see, it's sunny outside. I may take you guys outside for a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's the laptop, my little setup. I'm seeing if I can get a new desk. But I like what I have because I'm able to then turn around and use this QWERTY keyboard, which I do a lot of my typing on since I'm blogging. But let's go ahead and see what's out here. Okay, good. So I'm now in the garage. I was hanging out here earlier. I'll show you guys where I was. But we now have the TV up there. See that? So take a little bit of time in the garage to watch when I get a chance. And then just a few supplies there. Our car, you can see there behind me. I was just sitting over here for a little bit. Just trying to enjoy the nice sun that we have. Nothing too spectacular sitting in our fridge. If you guys look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that. But these I love. I may just even have one right now that I'm on this. LaCroix. Huge fan of them. Any LaCroix fans in here? Lime flavor today. They've become a household favorite. Why? Carbonation. It's not because of the sense or the taste from a soda. However, it's just perfectly carbonated. It opens up your stomach, makes you want to burp, if I didn't say that. Amazing stuff. So yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. We have stuff up there I've put together. a ladder, so you can see. Might take you guys into the backyard. Go see the maca, which is a hammock. For all my non-Spanish speaking or understanding people out there, it's a hammock. One second. So here we are in the backyard. This is where I was yesterday. Spent a little bit of time on the barbecue. You guys can see that behind me. So here is where I barbecued yesterday evening. Got to clean that, as you guys can see. This baby will do the trick. But had some great barbecue chicken. Chicken breasts. I did burn some of the edges a little bit. Won't lie about that. Had to attend something very quick, and so a few minutes passed, but I'm a little burned. Gives it a little char. Tastes good. So I'm gonna go over here and sit down on the maca, and we'll speak up a little bit. I don't want to be too much in the sun as long as I'm in the shade because I'm wearing black. So let me see who is in here. Not very long. Building business credit generally takes about, I wouldn't even say in 2 months. I'd say more about 3 to 6 months. 6 months more realistically speaking. So you can apply to business credit cards already. You don't have to wait for specifically building trade lines to do it. I do it the other way. If I can apply for business credit cards, get approved for, and then go into understand. What more you have to understand is which vendors accept you into getting it reported into the main credit bureaus, like Dun & Bradstreet being one of many. And so that's what's most important to me is with these credit cards I'm using, are they reporting to the business credit bureaus? If so, how many? What's it actually reporting and how is it stating? And then, of course, you want to continue to make repeat purchases is more important every single month. I would stick to doing about, the beginner would do about 5 at most, or 5 at a minimum for making purchases every month on whatever products that may be. And then somebody who's a little bit more established, maybe they're continuously doing it over and over, so they'll probably do it over 10 to 15 plus times is what I've seen, what I've done myself as well. Good question. What types of new business ideas do you recommend for people? I'm at 20%, so I will go in there in just a moment so I can charge my phone. So I can remember as far back, it was in 2016, I believe, late 2016, when I finally got my head around building a digital business. And at the time I was working within my 9 to 5. And so figuring out what I wanted 110% was harder. But it wasn't until one day when I spoke to an old friend of mine through really the Snapchat app. And he started to tell me about potentially passive income. And so that's where I started to learn about what was called affiliate marketing. So that's what I would recommend everybody do. And I still run those businesses right now, is affiliate marketing. You can promote other people's products and services in exchange for a commission. And then eventually, if you feel like you want to have your own product, you can go down that route and make it, and then have other people promote it for you is another route to take. So affiliate marketing, lowest barrier to entry. But with any kind of business, you have to understand this. is you have to continuously show up for your own audience. When you're doing things digitally, creating value, but creating the value consistently and being disciplined about it. Not a lot of individuals are willing to go down that route because they expect immediate returns. They expect immediate money. So if you're somebody who can wait a little bit of time, otherwise you have forms of e-commerce, and I'm not going to say that's just as fast, but you can start seeing results. It's just the margins are just much lower on physical products than they are on digital. So I always recommend getting into the digital information space and solving problems. And you can also get into a service, like the service industries right now would be the thing to do. And I wouldn't say anything else. Like service, how do you provide a service? And then two, how can I provide that service with digital information to back that up, that I can perhaps create myself or promote it through somebody else's product, so you can create your own product, and then you can also promote the affiliate other products on the back end is another route to go. So I still have those businesses that run it for me. Let's go back inside. Now we are back in my office. Welcome back in. Why would you want to register it as a business first? I mean, when it comes to, this might not be this situation, but I always tell business owners is to keep what you can personally in your assets away from business. Yeah, well then by that means it would be appropriate to do so. I've seen people do it for sure, and it's benefited them. However, it also depends on, since you're trying to buy more property, of course, what's more of a factor than anything, and I'm speaking with Rick, is, you know this, when you're getting a new property, then however you're doing it, rehab funds, and you can look at all that. But primarily we go off of credit, and we go off of your experience, the time you have doing this. So if we're looking at your personal credit score, that says a couple of things. So ultimately, just opening up my laptop, keep your personal and business assets separate. I have real estate investors who kind of mix the two. They have their properties underneath their LLC, then they have their corporation separate from those buildings. Ultimately, what you want to be looked at when you're getting traditional real estate financing is your credit and your experience, and that will then determine your loan to value, loan to costs, and a few other things. And so less of it is based off of revenue, if that's a worry, if that's a concern, and it's more based upon your liquidity. What do you have in liquid assets? The more liquid assets you have, the better. If you don't have enough of it, it's pretty hard for us to say yes to. And so with a lot of this also comes your down payment. And so I'll just say that much. And there's more information that I deal with on this side, but that's just as much as I'm going to say right now. I'll let this go for about another minute to two. But if people keep joining, And you guys have anything to say? I'm going to leave it open for you guys now. Then I'll keep it going. Oh, another thing that I didn't share that is also a part of like my 5+ essentials video that I have on the channel of what I must have with me at all times is just books like this. Something as simple as, and I have quite a few with me here, not all of them. Have you guys read Dan Kennedy's Renegade Millionaire? I already finished it. Just have little bookmarks that I go back to. The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. Those are just two of the many books that I have, and I read every single day. Sometimes I'll reread a book, and sometimes I'll go through a chapter or two, and so it can just refresh my mind and feel the appreciation for. But also, if it's something that I'm going to be using for the day, that's why I go into it. And of course, my LaCroix. Who? Can anybody else see who just commented there? Don't do it. This is a scam. The whole Frank agency. I don't know what he's talking about, honestly. Everybody, please ignore that individual who just said that. I am not a scammer. I don't know what he was referring to by Frank A. He didn't even say that name right. Agency. I don't know if anybody knows who or what that is. You are opening 5 restaurant locations and for some funding, but more is better. How much would you like to get? I'll ask you that. I never have them at this time, but I was already there, so I thought I'd just grab them. Usually I just have them with my dinner. Every once in a while. Not all the time. And because of summer, you know. Samantha, how are you doing? Understood. Yeah, what type of restaurant is this? Got it, nice. Franchise fried chicken. Can't even remember the last time I had fried chicken. Oh yeah, we had some I think from Safeway. Yeah. Page? Okay, yeah, I don't have no idea. Oh, it's probably because they're trying to pretend to be like myself. If you find other profiles here on TikTok that have my photo on it, please do a thorough investigation of it. As like, click the profile to see who's there. It's not somebody I'm associated with. So yeah, I can't do anything about that. Usually I can report and block, but you know how many more keep coming up. So be careful of what you guys do. But that's pretty cool. Franchise fried chicken. Nice. Love it. And so what it'll come down to is if you can offer up collateral. If not, we have unsecured term loans. Perhaps it could be an SBA form of financing since you already have experience, possibly. But my question to you is then, what would be the return on the investment? And would it be something in the short term, or are you looking at something more long term of it happening? Because when I ask business owners, how much time do you need to pay off this positive debt that it should be? And they go, I need a year, I need 2 years. Okay, and your use of funds, you said, were for one piece of equipment or a tire to two, and you needed a year to two, and you don't need that much time for that. It has to make sense. So in your situation, it may be that, yes, you're trying to finance a bigger project or multiple projects, in your situation, multiple. And however much time you need between to open up all of these is another question, as well as I already know how much funding you'll need. And then the other part of it is, what would be the return on that investment? Will it be something more in the short term? Would it be more of a return on your investment in the long term? And it could be short and or long term. So for these unsecured term loan financing options of 1 to 2 years, sometimes 1 to 5 or so, we want to make sure you're using these funds for bigger projects, bigger equipment, bigger inventory. Like somebody who's purchasing a whole warehouse of putting a whole warehouse of inventory together. Some products that are new, a lot of it that they don't know about, some of it that has worked already. They're getting an influx amount. They need to have a storage facility for all of this. And so when they can get these products off the shelf, it'll be more about 9 to 12 months is when they'll sell it all. So in the 9 to 12 month time frame, this individual will need more of a term if they qualify for it. Now, the way to qualify for a longer duration without offering of collateral is by offering of collateral. That's what I wanted to say. So without collateral, you can be a little bit more restricted, but with collateral that is approved for, you have more flexibility, obviously, because we can get you as much as equivalent up to 95%, up to 80, 85, depends on what we're looking at. Inventory financing, accounts receivables, you have a form of real estate, equipment. And so when that factors in, then we look at it and go, hey, now we can go ahead and assess you for these offers, and it's more realistic that we can get you them. But without that, and let's say you're doing $10,000 a month already or $15,000 a month in your business, in your existing restaurants or whatever industry it is, but you're wanting $200K to $300K, that won't work. Because we can only get you from 10 to 15% of your annual gross sales in most cases, your annual gross revenue. In some cases, it's been from 15 to 20, but that's the very abnormal, like it can become more rare. You have to have exceptional details. FICO revenue has to be over like 6 figures and incredibly frequent, which I have quite a few people actually that are doing that and have already been processed. But with just $15,000 a month, you're trying to get $200,000 legitimately to open. It doesn't sound like you can just get a minimum and then come back and get more. It sounds like you need the full $200K to $300K to make this happen, right? You can't say, hey, I'm gonna get approved for $30,000. I'm gonna take what I can, use it, and then come back and get more to get to $200K. It might take 10 to 12 tries at that point. But when you build a relationship with your lender, you can come back. You build a relationship with me, through me. The difference is if you're asking, why should I go through this guy? I just saw him today. I don't know a thing about him. Maybe you're watching a little bit later than what I showed in the beginning. But the part that differentiates me the most, first and foremost, is that I care about you as a human first. And I'm not saying that in like, it might sound cheesy, but it is the truth. I take the time with each individual to care for them. Who are they as a human being? I want to understand you. I want to understand how you think. I want to know what you feel. I want to understand how this is going. And to a depth, to a degree. You don't have to open up too much. I'm an introvert. It's hard for me to open up. So I can very quickly know whether I trust somebody or I don't, just by their body language. Not even a word said. And if I'm going to trust them, it'll take a little bit more time to develop for me to open up about myself to them. So I get where you're coming from, but I take care of you. You get a very personalized approach, and it shows. And you get a very customized approach as well as in the business side. And with that said, if you guys are unaware, in my bio, if you guys click the link, at the very top is a button that says funding submission form or similar. Click there, and it brings you to my webpage at Viral Funding Solutions. That's viralfundingsolutions.com, everybody. We're one of the fastest growing, I should say we're as in like I'm the one that's really working at the moment just on all of it. But it's myself, it's my brand, and I am able to connect people with direct lenders, indirect lenders through different funding programs, and I work with the best team of lenders and the best underwriters that are out there. You probably heard of their names. Very popular. And there's a huge advantage because they know me. When I submit files, they go, oh, that's Michael. And they know, oh, I brought them somebody good. Or there's somebody with less than good details, but because they're able to work in a specific way and that specific lender is catering to that type of person and that tier, then they can work on your file a bit different. And they have the backup from me knowing that I submitted it and that how trustworthy that I am about all of this when it comes to it. So I have a reputation on my side to keep as well. But that's what you need to know when it comes to this. So let's see, any more comments? I'm leaving it open. A few people are contributing, so I'll let this go for about another minute to two. For those of you wondering what I keep looking at, my laptop is in front of me. So if this is the first time, I'll do live recordings here in the office. I try to do them perhaps between 1 to 1:30 or so, if I can, or a little bit later it's been lately. And I'll go on and go about the topics at hand, and then I'll open it up and I'll try to comment back to you guys in between when I transition, or I'll wait towards the end of it. So I'm leaving this open for you guys if you guys have anything you guys need help with in terms of business funding, building your business credits, taking advantage of different opportunities which have been asked today. What kind of opportunities should they partake in? I give you guys a little bit of a backstory of where I began and why I took this venture into the digital world. I'm not sure if this person will get approved for. I've seen them coming in. I have an application right now that I have to take a look at. I'll do it later on, maybe today or hopefully tomorrow morning. Okay, so I'm going to read a few things that they did here. Yeah, so that's a major concern. Maybe they didn't input the details right on how they're doing in revenue, their lowest month in the last 3 months, and their average perhaps was right. But they made a change in a few things, so I wouldn't be surprised if this individual comes through our application and ends up getting declined or just doesn't get as much as that they wanted because they changed their responses, unless they didn't input it right the first time. So there are a few things like this. And usually I let the client know ahead of time. Sometimes they come through. You can get started on your application right away, but I'll make you well aware of like what are our expectations and how it all works. And then of course there are people who just seek information, and that's fine. And you may not need funding right this second. It's okay. However, a lot of people, they get started on something and then they never ever take the next steps. I have people right now who are approved in their underwriting for SBA 7(a) loans as well as other ones, and they just ghost without any kind of feedback in return. And that's where the negative part of that comes in, because without feedback, I can't really do my job. I can't really understand what you're doing. I have an understanding because I've been in your position. I've received funding. I know what it's like, all this and that, while you're battling the psychology and the human behavior of it. But what is it that's happening in your situation? How long ago did you fill it out, Rueda? I have loads of submissions right now, and you filled out the questionnaire, right? I believe we spoke about this some time ago. But so yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're not the only one. I'll just say that. I have over hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds, and I'm not just saying that. Yes. Actually, let me make a note of it so I can refer to it, so I can make it a top priority. And the reason I'm saying it's going to be a top priority is because, and this is for everybody else here watching, like when I follow up with people, the people who respond back over 80% of the time are those who are actually serious and those who actually like need the actual help. Some people just submit a questionnaire. It's fine. They don't have to respond back to emails. There's no expectation there. But they go ghost. I send them a follow-up text. I may call a few tomorrow. That's what will end up happening. We'll see who picks up. They'll see the number and they'll think, oh, then I'll follow it up maybe with another text message. I'm not bothering them, just every once in a while. But if you're taking the time to submit a questionnaire, why are you doing it? Just to see? Just for the fun of it? Just to follow the crowd? Do it if you're serious. I work with serious people. Whether you're doing nothing in revenue or you're doing 6 figures plus per year, you're doing millions upon billions. I have clients who are doing billions who really do need funding. You'd think, why do they need funding? Then they do. There's a lot of reasons why. And I won't get into all this. Whatever medium, I'm going to help. So now that I know that, and I do remember, I'll have to double check that because sometimes they land in the spam box. But I'll double check all of that and I'll go through your questionnaire. Hopefully you submitted all that and I can take another look at it. But I do get a lot of submissions. Like I have people right now why haven't I heard back from you? And some of these answers, like I see them, like I'll look through my emails, but I can't respond back right then and there. I can't start doing clerical administrative tasks in my time slot where I should be building this content or where I should be working on this project. That's growth, right? As a business owner, you know the difference with growth ROI, and then you have more of these like business operational, sometimes just more administrative tasks. So every day you want to work on your growth tasks. You want to work on the activities that are going to help you produce that ROI. And then there's secondary, where later on in the day, then you start working on answering on emails. You start focusing on different aspects. Some of these emails I may respond back to earlier in the day because they're very much needed to be on a time frame. So there are moments to both. Right? As a business owner, you pick and choose. I just spoke to a business owner the other day. Had a great conversation while I was over here on the hammock. She goes, yeah, I did all this, working business operational, and then she says I might have to go back to doing the sales and the marketing on the front end, right? Sales and marketing, business operations, and then you may be having somebody else who does the financial side of the equation. Those three. So at moments, you will have to step away from your business operations and become the marketer, become the person understanding the sales on the top. Maybe you were there and then you transitioned, but there will be moments in your business where you have to come back to it, and you have to think about what is it that your market currently wants. So about another minute to two, and then I will get going. Welcome in, Lavon. How are you doing? Oh, and for all other content, everyone, please refer to the bio, the YouTube channel. I think you can get through by going through the bio. Make sure you find the right profile. That is mine. But all the educational content in the world is going to be in there. Like on what I've released, I believe nobody else does it the way that I do. On the fact that it's very educational. It can be a bit entertaining at times. I'm not the most entertaining person out there, but I can be when I need to and when I'd like to. But you are going to get more education from the channel as well as through my blog than you will get from here. You'll get snippets of it, but when you finally go to the channel, you're in my email list. For those of you who are on my email list can testify to this. All the stuff that you guys get broadcast or specifically sent to you, it's going to make you drop your jaw. And I'm not just saying that. It's like, oh, okay. Now I know. This is why I didn't qualify for this. Or, now I know I can qualify for that. Makes sense. Oh, okay, I learned about this approval. Oh, for this service. I have a whole segment going on YouTube right now where I'm going about the SBA EIDL loans versus these other services, these other private lenders, non-private lenders. So SBA EIDL loans versus unsecured term loan versus merchant cash advances versus accounts receivable financing, private lenders. So if you haven't seen any of that, please go watch those video series on the comparison and the contrast between them, because our programming starts with the COVID EIDL loan. We think we need a 30-year. We should be getting that. A 30-year home mortgage. Because of that, we should be getting that over here with business loans. It's not how it works. It will never work that way. It shouldn't work that way, I should say. I don't think it will unless it's EIDL. And perhaps it's a form of real estate. Excuse me. But be realistic. I had an individual yesterday. Yes, I think it was yesterday. I have to see the timestamp. But I did reply back to them. And if you're in here watching, I won't say your name, but got a response. And they're saying, and one of their very first sentences is, what's the reality of getting a business loan of about 1.5 million to 2 million? My business tax returns are good. My bank statements are great, etc. And so I sent them a pretty lengthy email back. And then I told them, go to this link. They haven't filled out the questionnaire form. Once they fill out the questionnaire, I'll have a better idea. But if you're saying you're throwing numbers out with 1.5 to 2.5 or so, but you're only doing 10K a month and you don't have collateral to offer up, I'm sorry, but that's not working. You can get a business loan and then you can combine that with like 401k IRA financing, angel investors, but look at all the stuff you have to do. And now you have to reroute, and figure out what is the best solution. And I have all that for you. So whether it's an angel investor, hedge funds, private equity, etc., venture capitalists, all of this, there are ways of doing it, but be realistic about how much you can actually get. Don't think because I'd like 2 million is what I need and I need it all right now. It's not always the case. So let's do about another 30 seconds. All right, that'll conclude everything. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like always, very grateful that those of you who took the time to be here for the duration of it, who stuck around even to the very end. I know we get busy and we have to go do things, we get sidetracked, or maybe you're just thinking this guy's full of... However, I'm not. For those of you who've been watching me for some time will attest to that. And I come out with the most real, truthful, maybe it hurts, but it is tough love. It's never coming from a place of anger and negativity and aggressiveness. And if you think it comes that way, then we can sit down and have a talk, but usually it isn't. I usually don't cross that line. I'm not that individual who will do that. I'm very respectful of your energy and your time and so forth, because we all get busy in doing things. So that'll be all for now. Please refer to the description if you're here on the YouTube channel watching this later on. If you will be watching this here from TikTok, as you are, you can refer back to the bio. And for all other questions, comments, or concerns, please, you can get started with that questionnaire if you haven't. That'll be the fastest way, and you'll see all the resources that I have. That is all for now. Take care. Bye.